Evan. Um, in your business, like you mentioned earlier, you're using a lot of technology, and data is actually quite crucial in your business. So, what do you see as a challenge going forward? Because we're all hearing the market talking about lack of standards, lack of the reporting metrics are not accurate, and how are you relying on these third-party data or metrics to make investment decisions? And I know you use a lot of digital, and how do you use digital as a transformation tool? Sorry.
Yeah, so I think climate disclosure is definitely very inconsistent. Has been. I mean, this is still a very new area. Europe is probably the most advanced in terms of disclosure and following disclosure. They've been focused on reducing emissions for over a decade now, so they're probably the most advanced. The US, the SEC is talking about voluntarily companies disclosing their emissions, their impact to the environment, but that's a discussion. Hong Kong, there's a discussion. We're in the private equity world, so it's not saying we follow different rules, but yeah, we follow standards on reporting to our own investors on various things. It's ESG related, where it's related to UNPRI, but we're taking things a step further. So yes, information becomes very important. When you control what you own and they are able to obtain the data, then you have good data. If you don't control what you own and you're not aligned with your investee company in terms of what they want to do, what they think is important, then yes, you may not get the information that you need to be able to report. So having the alignment before you make the decision to invest upfront is very important. What are your objectives? What do you need to report? What systems do you have to have in place? And you give the companies time to get there, because ESG reporting requires a person who's prepared to do the job. When you go that step further to then make disclosures around what is your emissions that you're emitting and what is the impact on different scenarios on your business around climate, then that's also a very different discussion. So that requires resources of the company. Now, bigger companies do a better job than smaller companies. Yeah, they have the resources to do that. But that's our investment mandate. They need to comply with what we do as a number one objective, whether it's environmental, whether it's safety, whether it's corporate social responsibility, all that stuff is part of the process. When it comes to information, yes, self-driven information is better, but the verification process becomes important because people will underreport. And you see that with public companies already. Yeah, so the most reliable data is your own data, but someone else has verified it. And today you have a lot of accounting firms which actually go through that verification process for you. And this is what we do, to give comfort to the investors that someone else has looked at it, because there are standards on calculating emissions. How much power do we use in this building alone? Hong Kong Land won't give it to you, but they can if they want to say, what is my carbon footprint? You fly a flight from SQ or Cathay, they'll give you your own carbon footprint. There are ways to do this. It's just whether the companies are prepared to give you the information or not. Number one. Now, digital, yes. Digitalization is very important. Even in a normal traditional process of building a manufacturing business, AI technology today is important because it makes your business more efficient and more productive. You can identify issues before it actually happens. You turn that around and say, well, what does it mean from an power efficiency point of view? Then yeah, if you're more operationally efficient, then you'll use more power, your footprint becomes smaller. So digital, number one, is important. We use a lot of AI in our business. We're in our traditional energy business. We try to make sure we can identify issues that come up before anything happens. That saves us time, that saves us the use of power. Yeah, are the two most basic things. I would say where technology has also had an impact for the future is we've seen it in renewables. And there was a big renewable boom over 15 years ago. People made money, but you had to rely on subsidies. With technology today, solar, for example, the cost of producing solar is 80% below today than it was before. It's cheaper than running a coal-fired plant today.
Yeah.
So it is there, but it's the density of use of energy is the issue, and how do you store, right? But technology is there. In the future, we will see with technology batteries now, EV batteries, the cost of that is coming down. But you'll see what we call vehicle to grid, yeah, or vehicle to home, where your own less relevant here in Hong Kong, but in other parts of the world, where if you're in a parking station, there'll be digital technology that allows you to feed your battery back into the power grid if it makes sense, or for that building in order to reduce your costs. So we're seeing that because technology today is rapidly advancing, but also the innovation behind it is also making a big difference. And when you have companies like Google, Microsoft, who have also committed to net zero, then you'll see a lot of innovation and a lot of innovation around